Family takes care of each other, my parents said, demanding $1,500 a month to watch my son. But when I saw my sister only paid $300, I finally had enough. So I cut them off, and here's what happened next. I know it's expensive, but you understand, don't you? We're struggling too. I stared at the message on my phone, my pulse quickening. $1,500 by the end of the week, or things will be difficult for us. My fingers tightened around the device. $1,500. Every month. Just so my parents could watch Ethan after school. And, even then, they barely did anything with him. My stomach twisted as I reread the message. The words felt less like a request and more like a demand. Like a ransom note. Ethan was a bright, energetic child, too bright, according to my mother. He asks too many questions, she had sighed last week, rubbing her temples like his curiosity was a personal attack. And he never sits still. It's exhausting. Exhausting? I had nearly laughed. Raising 2 kids on a waitress's salary like Sophia, that would be exhausting. But spending a few hours a day with one child? A child they were getting paid handsomely to watch? I exhaled sharply, resisting the urge to throw my phone across the room. I had wanted to believe this arrangement would work. After the divorce, all I wanted was stability for my son. Work was demanding, and I needed someone I could trust. Family had seemed like the logical choice. But deep down, I knew the truth. This wasn't about helping me. This was about control. My parents had never truly supported me. Not when I left my ex-husband, despite knowing exactly why I had to. Not when I started over, working late nights to rebuild my life. And certainly not now, when I was financially independent, something that seemed to irritate them more than it reassured them. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Sophia, never had to beg. Sophia, the good daughter. The one who struggled. The one who played the victim. The one my parents loved to rescue. I had lost count of how many times they had bailed Sophia out. Paid off her debts. Covered her rent. Helped with her 2 kids. Yet somehow, Sophia only contributed $300 a month for our parents' help. $300. I was paying 5 times that. And for what? So my son could sit in a house where he wasn't even truly welcome? So he could be made to feel like a burden while his cousins were treated like royalty? My jaw tightened. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before I typed out my reply. We need to talk. I sat across from my mother at the kitchen table, arms crossed, waiting. As always, my father was absent from these conversations, silent in the background, letting his wife handle the difficult discussions. My mother sighed dramatically, stirring her tea like this entire conversation exhausted her. Sweetheart, I don't understand why this is such a big deal. You make good money. It's not like you can't afford it. My nails dug into my palms. That's not the point. I just don't understand, she continued, shaking her head, how you can be so selfish about your own child's care. Do you really want to leave him with strangers? With nannies? She said the word like it was something filthy. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. I'm not being selfish. I just don't see why I have to pay 5 times what Sophia pays for the same thing. My mother frowned. Sophia's situation is different. She's a single mother with 2 children. She also has a full-time job, I shot back. And a boyfriend who lives with her. And yet, somehow, she only pays $300 a month while I'm paying $1,500. She waved a hand dismissively. You know she struggles. She doesn't have the luxury of extra income the way you do. Luxury. Like I hadn't worked myself to the bone to rebuild my life after the divorce. Like I hadn't fought for every promotion, taken every overtime shift I could, sacrificed my social life to make sure Ethan and I had a future. Meanwhile, Sophia bounced from one financial crisis to another, always rescued at the last second. Always coddled. Always excused. My voice was steady, but there was a dangerous edge to it now. So, let me get this straight. I pay more because I worked harder. My mother scoffed. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. Of course. Anytime I stood up for myself, I was difficult. Ungrateful. I leaned forward, my voice calm but firm. What is this money really for? My mother hesitated. Then, finally, your father and we can't afford the rent. There it was. We're at the age where we deserve to enjoy life, Emily. We worked hard for so many years. It's time for us to rest. But rent keeps going up, and we shouldn't have to stress about these things at our age. That's what children are for. My stomach turned. They didn't want help with Ethan. They wanted me to fund their retirement. I swallowed hard, gripping the edge of the table. So that's why you charge me more than Sophia. My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. It's only fair, she said simply. I let out a humorless laugh. Fair? She nodded. You have extra income. Sophia doesn't. My fists clenched. And that's my problem. Why? Silence. My mother didn't have an answer. Because there wasn't one. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. They had never expected Sophia to take care of them. They had always planned for it to be me. I took a slow breath, choosing my next words carefully. All right, then let's make it fair. I'll pay $300, just like Sophia. My mother's eyes snapped to mine, her soft, coaxing voice disappearing in an instant. Instead, something sharper replaced it. That won't work. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. Why not? She hesitated, just for a second, before recovering. Because Ethan is more difficult. There it was. Something inside me snapped. My son is difficult? My voice was cold. She sighed dramatically, as if I were being unreasonable. You know what I mean. He's high energy. He asks too many questions. Sophia's kids are easier. They play quietly. They don't demand so much attention. I stared at her, disgust curling in my gut. Attention. The one thing my son craved more than anything. The one thing they denied him while showering Sophia's children with affection. And they expected me to pay for that treatment? No, I said flatly. My mother blinked. What? I stood, grabbing my coat. I said no. I'm not paying you a single cent more. Her face darkened. You're being ridiculous. No, I corrected, I'm being smart. I turned toward the door. Ethan won't be coming here anymore. She shot to her feet, panic creeping into her voice. Emily, think about what you're doing. I paused at the doorway, glancing over my shoulder. I am. Then I walked out. I didn't regret my decision. Not for a second. But I knew my family well enough to know this wasn't over. It was never over. The first sign of trouble came the next morning when my phone rang. Sophia. I almost let it go to voicemail. She never called unless she wanted something. Curiosity won. Emily, her voice dripped with forced sympathy. Mom just told me what happened. I can't believe you'd be so cruel to them. I smiled bitterly. Here we go. I'm cruel, I repeated, leaning against the kitchen counter. For not wanting to be financially extorted? Sophia sighed dramatically, as if she were the one suffering. Come on, you know they're struggling. I scoffed. They're not struggling. They just prefer to take my money instead of spending their own. Wow! She let out a bitter laugh. You've really changed, huh? Ever since the divorce, you act like you're better than everyone. Just because you got a big settlement doesn't mean you can treat us like garbage. There it was. The thing no one ever said out loud, but always used against me. The money. The thing that made them feel entitled to my help. They're your parents, Emily, Sophia pressed. Do you really want to be the kind of person who turns her back on family? I inhaled sharply, gripping my phone. I had spent my whole life twisting myself into knots for this family. And they had done nothing but take. You know what, Sophia? I said, my voice eerily calm. You can start paying their bills now. She sputtered. W what? You heard me. If you think they need help so badly, you can be the one to give them $1,500 a month. A stunned silence. Then, you're such a selfish, Sophia hissed before hanging up. I exhaled slowly, closing my eyes. It was almost funny how predictable they were. And I wasn't done yet. That weekend, I received an invitation to my parents' anniversary dinner. It was unexpected. I thought they'd still be sulking. But something about it felt off. They hadn't invited me out of love. They had invited me because they thought they could guilt me. Or worse, humiliate me. And me? I was going to let them try. Let them think I was walking into a trap. Because I had a trap of my own. Update, the party. The restaurant was packed when I arrived. A private dining room filled with family, distant relatives, and a few family friends. My parents greeted me with stiff smiles. Sophia barely looked at me. And then I noticed something strange. Her kids were running around, playing with their cousins. Other relatives had their children with them too. But Ethan? Ethan wasn't there. My stomach dropped. I turned to my mother, my voice cold. Where's my son? Her face tightened. We thought it would be best if you stayed home. Best for who? My voice was dangerously quiet. My father sighed, like I was the problem. Emily, you know how he is. He's difficult. We just wanted a peaceful evening. My hands curled into fists. My son. The child I paid them thousands to watch. The one they called difficult while Sophia's kids were treated like royalty. He was the only child excluded. Rage boiled under my skin. But I didn't explode. Not yet. Instead, I smiled sweetly and walked to the middle of the room. I picked up a glass and clinked it with a fork. The room went silent. I just want to say a few words, I said, my voice smooth. To thank my wonderful parents for everything they've done for me. My mother preened. My father nodded approvingly. I smiled wider. I'd like to thank them for all the years they've prioritized Sophia, I said. For always reminding me that no matter how much I did for this family, it was never quite enough. The smiles faltered. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Sophia shot me a death glare. Emily. No, let me finish, I interrupted. I'd also like to thank my parents for charging me 5 times what Sophia pays to watch my son, while treating him like a burden. Gasps rippled through the room. My mother paled. I turned to my father. And, of course, let's not forget the best part. How you invited every single grandchild here tonight, except mine. Dead silence. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. My father cleared his throat. Emily, this isn't the time. No, it's exactly the time, I said coolly. I just want to make something crystal clear to everyone here. I'm done. No more money. No more help. No more pretending this is a family. I let my words hang in the air, watching as my parents and Sophia struggled to respond. But I wasn't waiting for their reaction. I was done waiting. Without another word, I set my glass down. And I walked out. My mother let out a panicked laugh. Sweetheart, you don't mean that. I turned to Sophia, my voice calm but cutting. If you still need help with rent, I suggest you ask your real parents. You know, the ones who always bail you out. Her face twisted with rage. My mother reached for my hand. Emily, please. I stepped back. Good luck. Then I walked out. And this time, no one followed me. I didn't look back. Because for the first time, I was truly free. The drive home. The road stretched in front of me, empty and quiet. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my pulse pounded in my ears. I had done it. I had burned the bridge. And yet, I waited for the guilt to creep in. That old, familiar weight on my shoulders. The voice in my head whispering that I had overreacted, that I should have kept the peace. But there was no guilt. Only relief. For the first time in my life, I had said everything. No sugarcoating, no backing down. And now, I was free. Or so I thought. At 7 a.m. the next morning, my phone rang. I knew who it was before I even looked. My mother. I let it ring. Then Sophia called. Then my father. By 10 a.m., my phone was drowning in texts. Mom, we need to talk. You embarrassed us last night. This is not how family treats each other. Dad, I don't know what's gotten into you, but you owe your mother an apology. Sophia, you're unbelievable, Emily. So ungrateful. Do you even care what you've done? You humiliated Mom in front of everyone. I hope you're happy. I sipped my coffee and ignored them all. Then came the message I wasn't expecting. Uncle James, good for you, kid. I blinked. Uncle James? The only relative who never got involved in family drama? Another message popped up. Uncle James, about time someone called them out. They've been doing this for years. Your grandmother would have been proud. I exhaled slowly. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear that. Update, the first real attack. By noon, I got a notification from my bank. A failed transaction attempt. My stomach twisted. I checked my accounts, nothing seemed off. Then another notification. A credit card charge I hadn't made. And then it clicked. I called the bank immediately. Hi, I need to report fraudulent activity on my card. After verifying my information, the bank rep hesitated. Actually, ma'am, this was an authorized user on your account. I went cold. What? Yes, a secondary card holder attempted a charge. I hadn't given anyone a secondary card. Unless A memory surfaced. Years ago, before the divorce, my parents had convinced me to add them as emergency users. I had forgotten to remove them. And now, they were testing me, trying to take what I had refused to give. My fingers trembled as I pulled up the banking app. Remove authorized users? Confirm? I pressed yes. Then I did the same for their phone plans I had been paying for this whole time without thinking. Cut. 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 Then, one last thing. I texted my mother. Emily, tried to steal from me? Cute. Check your phone service. Oh, and your bank access? Gone. Try that again, and I'll file a police report. Read. No reply. Update, Sophia's meltdown. By 3 p.m., I was making lunch when I heard pounding at my door. I sighed. I didn't even need to check the peephole. I opened the door to find Sophia, red-faced, fists clenched. You're unbelievable, she spat, shoving a finger in my face. You're seriously cutting Mom and Dad off? I leaned against the door frame, calm. That's the idea. She let out a hysterical laugh. Wow! Wow! You're unbelievable. Do you even realize what you've done? Mom was crying all morning. Dad had to calm her down. Do you even care? I crossed my arms. Did either of them care when they tried to steal from me today? Her expression flickered. Just for a second. Then she recovered. It wasn't stealing. They just what? I cut in. Helped themselves to my money after I told them no? You know what that's called, Sophia? Her mouth opened, then closed. I smirked. Theft. Sophia growled. Oh, get over yourself. It was probably just a mistake. Mistake? I tilted my head. Like the mistake where I pay 5 times more than you? Or the mistake where my son wasn't invited to dinner? Or maybe the mistake where you act like a helpless victim while I'm treated like a bank account? Her face twisted in rage. You don't get it, Emily. You had money. You were supposed to help us. I laughed. Oh, I was supposed to help? What about you, Sophia? When was the last time you helped Mom and Dad? She faltered. Then she exploded. You're so selfish, Emily. You don't give a shit about anyone but yourself. You act like you're better than us just because you got lucky in your divorce. You think you're some kind of hero? You're such a selfish person. Slam. I shut the door in her face. The shouting continued outside. Then, finally, she left. And me? I turned on my music, poured myself a glass of wine, and smiled. That night, I got one last text from my mother. Mom, your sister is devastated. She doesn't deserve this. I don't know who you've become, but I hope you come to your senses before it's too late. I exhaled slowly. Then I typed my response. Emily, who I've become? A woman who doesn't let herself get used. If that bothers you, that's your problem. Blocked. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like someone's daughter. I felt like myself. And it felt damn good. The morning after, for the first time in years, I woke up feeling light. No unread messages filled with guilt. No early morning calls demanding explanations. No dread curling in my stomach, waiting for the next obligation to be forced on me. Just silence. And it was beautiful. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, happily eating his cereal, humming to himself. I ruffled his hair as I poured my coffee. You sleep okay, baby? He grinned, his mouth full. Uh-huh. No stress. No judgment. Just peace. But peace never lasted long with my family. By the afternoon, my phone lit up with an unknown number. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello? A familiar voice crackled through the speaker. Emily, honey, it's your father. Oh! So they sent him now. Of course, they did. He was the reasonable one. The peacemaker. When manipulation and guilt trips failed, he was the last resort. I leaned against the counter. What do you want, Dad? A long sigh. Listen, sweetheart, I don't want to fight. Your mother is, well, she's very upset. I deadpanned. She always is. A pause. Emily, don't be like this. You know your mother. She's dramatic, but she loves you. I raised an eyebrow. Is that before or after she tried to steal from me? Silence. Then a nervous chuckle. Look, I don't know the details of that. Then why are you calling me? Another pause. Because we need you. There it was. The truth. Not we love you. Not we're sorry. Just we need you. I laughed coldly. You need me? For what? To be your personal ATM again? No, he said quickly. That's not. Then what, Dad? I pressed. Because from where I'm standing, the only time you or Mom ever call me is when you need something. A long silence. Then, softly, we miss you. My fingers tightened around the phone. I took a deep breath. No, Dad. You don't miss me. You miss what I did for you. Silence. For once, he had nothing to say. This was the dangerous part. The part where they almost sounded genuine. Where they dangled the thing I had always wanted in front of me, love, acceptance, just to pull it away the second I caved. I wasn't falling for it again. Miss me? I repeated, my voice sharp. You excluded my son from a family dinner. You lied about how much Sophia pays. You tried to take money from me behind my back. And now you miss me? Emily. My father sighed heavily. Please, just think about this. Family is important. Family. That word used to mean something to me. Now, it just felt like another chain. I am thinking, I said quietly. And I think I'm done. His breath hitched. You don't mean that. I do, I said. And I think you know I do. A beat of silence. Then, in a voice far colder than before. You're making a mistake, Emily. My stomach twisted for half a second. But I kept my voice steady. Maybe. But at least it's my mistake to make. Then I hung up. And this time, I didn't feel guilty at all. Sophia's desperation. 2 days later, Sophia showed up at my apartment. Not banging on the door. Not screaming. Just standing there. And she looked bad. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair a mess. An expression I had never seen on her before. Desperation. I crossed my arms. What do you want, Sophia? She inhaled shakily. She swallowed. I need your help. I leaned against the door frame. Of course you do. Her jaw clenched. Can you not be so impossible for 2 seconds? I tilted my head. You mean like how you weren't being awful when you called me selfish? When you let Mom lie about me? When you watched them treat my son like trash and said nothing? Sophia flinched. But she still had the audacity to say, that's not fair. My eyebrows shot up. Fair? I let out a sharp laugh. Oh, now we're talking about fair? Where was fair when I was paying $1,500 a month while you paid $300? Her face twisted. You had more money. And that makes it okay? Silence. For once, she had no excuse. I took a slow breath. What do you want, Sophia? She hesitated. Then, quietly, I need money. I smirked. Of course you do. Her eyes burned. I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate. I studied her. She was desperate. But that didn't make me forget everything else. I'm sorry, I said, my voice softer now. But that's not my problem anymore. Her face crumbled. I met her crumbling expression with calm indifference. For the first time in my life, she couldn't take from me. And she knew it. You can't be serious, Sophia whispered. You're really gonna leave me hanging? I exhaled slowly. I always catch you, Sophia. And you never catch me back. Her hands clenched into fists. You don't understand, Emily. I need this. No, I said calmly. You want this. There's a difference. A thick silence stretched between us. Sophia's breath hitched. Her lips trembled. Then she did something I never thought I'd see. She begged. Please, she whispered. I don't know what else to do. For a moment, I almost caved. Almost. But then I remembered every time I had sacrificed for her. Every time I had paid. Every time I had covered. Every time I had saved her. And how much she had given me in return. Nothing. I reached into my pocket. Sophia's eyes lit up. I pulled out a $1 bill and held it out. Her face collapsed. You're unbelievable, she hissed. I smiled sweetly. Good luck. Then I shut the door in her face. And this time I knew. I was never opening it again. I waited for the guilt. For the regret. For the old, familiar weight to creep back in. But there was nothing. No guilt. No regret. Just silence. For the first time, I was free. The collapse of the perfect family. I had expected my parents to go begging to Sophia next. I was right. 2 weeks passed before the first text came through. Mom, your sister is in trouble. We need to help her. You wouldn't let your own family suffer, would you? I snorted. Watch me. Sophia had burned through everything. Her boyfriend left. Bills piled up. Debt collectors circled like vultures. And now, the same parents who had always prioritized her, always coddled her, were realizing the brutal truth. Sophia was useless. She wasn't me. She wasn't the one who could fix things. She was just another problem. And for the first time, their golden daughter wasn't the solution. She was the burden. Then, a text from Sophia. Sophia, Mom and Dad are being ridiculous. They actually expect me to take care of them now. I can't do this alone. We should talk. I let out a bitter laugh. They should talk? Now that Sophia finally understood what it was like to be the responsible one? Now that she was drowning, just like I had been for years? I typed out my final message. Emily, sounds tough. Good luck. Blocked. The last desperate attempt. My parents held out for another month before my father finally called. This time, I answered. I was curious. Emily, his voice was tired, worn down. This has gone far enough. I sipped my coffee. Has it? He hesitated. Your mother isn't well. The stress of all this, it's affecting her health. I smirked. And there it was. The final card. They couldn't control me with guilt. They couldn't manipulate me with money. So now, they tried the oldest trick in the book. Your mother is sick. I leaned back. You mean the same mother who tried to steal from me? She didn't mean. She did, I cut in. And now that she finally has to deal with her own problems instead of dumping them on me, she's stressed? That's not my issue. His voice turned cold. You're heartless. I smiled. No, Dad. I'm finally treating you the way you've treated me my whole life. Silence. For the first time, he had nothing to say. I let that hang in the air for a second. Then I hung up. And this time, I knew. I would never pick up again. Update, a new life. My parents never called again. Sophia tried, but I never unblocked her. By the summer, they had faded into the background. Just ghosts of my past. And my life? It had never been better. I found a new babysitter for Ethan, one who actually enjoyed spending time with him. He was happier than ever, thriving without the constant disapproval of his grandparents. I took my first vacation in years. I stopped checking my phone every morning, bracing for the next financial demand. I breathed for the first time in years. One afternoon, while I was at the park with Ethan, a message popped up from an unknown number. Uncle James, proud of you, kid. You did what I never could. I smiled, because I finally understood. Some people never change. Some families aren't worth saving. And sometimes, the only way to win is to walk away and never look back. Last update. I've never posted on Reddit before, but right now, I feel like I have to. I don't know what I expected when I walked away from my family, but I didn't expect this. This strange, aching silence. No screaming, no guilt-tripping phone calls. No one demanding money. For the first time in my life, I have peace. And yet, I keep reaching for my phone, half expecting my mother's name to pop up. I keep thinking about Sophia, about how she looked at me that last time. I told myself I was done. But what if I was wrong? Did I make a terrible mistake? Should I go back before it's too late?